This is an exciting episode. Real
It's
exciting.
exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. We
They're
finally
all exciting.
get to do Wi-Fi 6E testing that Brian lifted the embargo.
I did,
um,
yeah, because I know you've been testing for a little while, but you always get the very first unit, so we want to kind of get your blessing on it
yeah.
before we go out to other beta testers.
Yep.
So other beta testers have it now. They've been testing it. So far so good. Maybe some slight tuning, but I think it's been really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen any problems with it now that it's in the cloud. Everything seems to be working, and the speeds are insane. So yeah, I'm seeing I'm connected right here. It's very close. It's like 5-6 feet away, at 2.4 gigabits per second. And then I did some, testing with iPerf, and against my desktop that's connected to the same switch at 10 gigabits, and I'm getting like an average of 1.4 gigabits per second over the ECW336, and my laptop, which is a 2x2 with the Intel AX210 adapter in there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty good. And it's solid
That's pretty
because
fast, huh?
it is really it seems fast. It's finally faster than wired 1 gigabit Ethernet, right?
Yeah.
Um,
So what do you? I don't know if you tested this. What do you think will happen when you have like multiple 6 gigahertz client devices on there?
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Like I know we heard something that you may not be able to max it out with multiple clients. A single stream is faster.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It's definitely going to be faster than 5.8 gigahertz.
Yeah.
Because you have that, you can use that 160 megahertz wide channel.
Yeah. Like many.
Many of them, yeah. So, I wrote an article about this with my testing speeds, and I show the channels and some of the connection speeds. And the other interesting thing is at distance, it still works really well.
Yeah.
So I tested like 50 feet away through a few walls. And I was still getting a good connection at like 137 megabits per second with iPerf.
Yeah.
So still getting like 137 50 feet away, but when you connect to the 5.8 gigahertz on the ECW336, you get a little bit faster at that distance.
Yeah.
So I was getting like
It just carries
177.
longer. It's
Yeah.
what it just can communicate further, a little bit further.
Yeah,
than
the
six
lower the
gigahertz.
frequency, the further the distance, right?
Yeah.
But it's really only, I would say, about 20% less than 5.8, something like that.
Yeah.
You can see it in the signal bars that it's lower. So if you're going to design for 6 gigahertz Wi-Fi 6E, you're going to need more access points for full coverage.
Yeah.
But not everyone necessarily needs to do that. I think.
But do you think it's dramatically different than what you would do if you designed it on 5 gigahertz? I anticipated that you would not need as many. I mean, it wouldn't be like, oh, you need double.
No,
or,
it's not double. I would say like I said, maybe 20% more access points or something like that.
Really?
The signal is maybe 20% less at that distance. So it's not like 50% or 100% less, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're thinking it would be way shorter when we first started hearing about it.
Yeah, the wavelength on 6 gigahertz versus 5 is very, very similar.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not that much difference, but there is definitely
There's definitely a difference.
definitely a difference as far as range goes, but close-up speed is insane. And you may just want to use the Wi-Fi 6 access points like in your, high-use areas, like where you have clients as Wi-Fi 6E clients like in an office, and then use like the, Wi-Fi 6, ECW230 in the other areas, you know what I mean? Like, so you don't necessarily need to use them all. You can mix and match. Don't be afraid to do that.
Yeah. It'll be interesting because soon currently we're running in our office, we have 6 access points. We normally cover with 5.
Mm-hmm.
We have 6 because I'm testing an ECW215, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting because, we will replace all those APs with 336s. Now, there's only maybe 5, 6 gigahertz devices in that network. But it'd be interesting to see what the coverage will be with 6 gigahertz in our office. Our office is a typical office, 10,000 square feet or something like that. Somewhat open, but yeah, it'd be interesting. So the more we use this, and the more it's deployed, the more obviously everybody's going to learn. So it's going to be interesting to see how it affects or how it's affected within these different environments. So.
Yeah, I mean, but there's huge advantages too for like mission critical type applications where the 6 gigahertz isn't being used at all right now. So there's plenty of free space there, free channels, more bandwidth available. So especially for like niche applications like that you just need it to work. This is like perfect. It's like greenfield spectrum right now,
Yeah. Yep.
And it will be for a while, I think. And there's not a lot of devices yet that support it, but newer laptops will support it, and hopefully the new iPhone 14 will have Wi-Fi 6E also.
Yep.
But I'm pretty impressed with it so far. And also we're using the 2.5 gigabit switches. With the access point, because now to get that max amount of it, you want to have 2.5 gigabit. You may not really need it. Like if you are, you don't want to upgrade your switches, you're fine with 1 gigabit because when you get multiple clients in there, we'll see how that works. You may not be able to hit those super high, rates, right?
Per client device.
Per client, but you do have 3 radios on there too, and you're gonna have clients in all 3 radios, and you have to add those all up. So I think 2.5 would be a good choice if you're going to upgrade your switches.
Yeah. That's going to be interesting to see as well. I mean, within our network, because we'll have, we're going to have, they're all tri-band, right? So we'll have, tri-band on 6 radio or 6 access points. So it'd be interesting to get all these clients on there and see what the bandwidth will be.
Yeah, see what is actually being used, bandwidth-wise. I mean, it'd be interesting. I'll try to do a test with like iPerf on 2 different interfaces with a couple different devices and see if I can see what I can get the highest throughput on that. That'd be a real interesting test to do.
Yeah, that will. Yep.
3 devices, maxing out their interface on 2.45 and 6. See what we get.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
And this IP, the nice thing about the 336 is it doesn't need PoE++ either. It's just like a regular PoE+ access point. So you don't necessarily need to upgrade your switches, right?
That's right, yeah. I think it's 23 watt.
23 watt max?
I think that's peak.
Peak, yeah, that's awesome.
It could be 24. I would have to look at the spec, but it doesn't go beyond like 30 watts.
Yeah, that's awesome because that means you can put it in with your current switches and then maybe upgrade the switches later if you see that you're maxing them out.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So that's really cool. All right, so you want to talk about the new wall plate access point? I know you released a bunch of information on that this week.
Yeah, we just so I just had a webinar yesterday. So the ECW215, it's a wall plate Wi-Fi 6 access point. We have a lot of interest in that particular device, and I know you're working with customers as well that want to use that particular device. But we've been testing it for the last 4 weeks, and it's works really, really well.
Yeah.
I can max out all my Wi-Fi. I can be close to wired speed. We don't have gigabit by any means. We're like really pretty low in regards to the ISP connection, but I can match the wired speed on that device with my phone. So it performs really, really well. The coverage area is really good. I would say I think I mentioned yesterday it was about 1,500 square feet. But that obviously will change in regards to the environment and things like that. Mm-hmm. But we have it in like a 200 square foot office. It covers that office no problem. Really? We have a printer that's connected to it right now. They're able to do print jobs and everything. You can VLAN on the ports and things like that. So we've been testing a lot of different things with that, but I released information about two new features that are coming out for that particular device that were designed around that device, but not necessarily you have to apply it to that device. One, you can copy or you can apply the SSID configurations to the port. That's specific to the ECW215. Meaning, like, if I plug into the port, it's going to, if I have captive portal on there, it will take me through the captive portal. I can do VLANs on those ports. That device has 2 ports on the bottom, so you can VLAN those 2 ports. That's one feature, so you can apply SSID configs to the ports. The other one is the smart casting one that you and I talked about before. It gives hotels the ability to provide smart casting to the guests in their room, so they can actually take their phone, be connected to the guest network, and still smart cast to the TV that's in their specific room. Now, you might not think that's a big deal, but typically on a guest network, you have maybe you have L2 isolation turned on, and that's where the problem comes in. So we implement MDNS to help with that situation.
So it's keeping them safe on that guest network, but they can see the TV or other device, maybe a Sonos or something you could do stream to too. They can see those devices with MDNS and still use them while being secured off from the rest of the hotel.
Yep, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool, and it's pretty neat that you can apply your captive portal to the wired ports in there, because you see hotels a lot of times they have a wired port on the desk, and I don't know, you plug into it and who knows where it goes, like if they have it configured correctly, you don't know, is that thing open? Is it, it's definitely not just for your room, right? It's probably the whole hotel.
Yeah, so exactly. So just to give you an idea what you can do on those 2 ports, like I said, you could do L2 isolation. You can block MAC addresses as well. You can VIP MAC addresses, and then Captive Portal has different advanced authentication, so you can actually set that up on the ports. You can NAT and bridge the ports, and you can also do a redirect. And you can put it to open, and you can use WPA2 or WPA3 enterprise authentication too. So, yeah, there's a lot going on in regards to that.
Yeah, I mean, hotels could set up like a password for every room if they wanted to.
Oh, true, yeah.
Now, because they're all going to have their own separate config. And the main thing is, if you plug into that, you could be on your own VLAN in the room, which is isolated from the rest of the hotel.
Yep.
Where maybe you can see just the TV or something and the internet, right?
Yep.
That's what you want. You don't want to plug in that thing and maybe be like open to attacks from every other guest in the hotel.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, cool. You also want to talk about VLANs a little bit, about VLAN config and like how easy it should be, how easy it is on our side.
Yeah. So fortunately, maybe unfortunately as well, but we're working with layer 2 switches and and access points are layer 2. So our configurations are pretty simple. So we do get a lot of calls around VLANs. Some of the basics, like how do I configure, but most of the time it's like, hey, my VLANs aren't working. Is the configuration correct, or your switch is not working, or something like that. So that's what it typically, it comes in that way, like, oh, it's not working on your switch, or you have a bug, or you have something. It's like, no, we have thousands of switches out there and thousands of networks that are using VLAN. So we have to review it. But on our switches, like, all you have to do is tag and untag ports for the VLANs. It really depends on or using PVID, if you have a direct connect from like a laptop or like a desktop. But it's really, really easy. What we typically run into, it's on the gateway side.
Yeah.
And the gateway configuration is not correct. So we ran into a case a couple days ago, and it literally took me from very start, hey, I have a VLAN issue, to looking at like 5 different networks and being able to find out where this configuration. Nobody told me. Like I had to figure it out for myself. It took me like 7 minutes to figure out. Okay, he's talking about this network. It's this SSID. He's trying to VLAN, and I could figure out through the topology view what ports needed to be tagged and untagged. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, these are the ports that you need to be tagged. He had it configured and working. And like I said, like in 7 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But so the client devices that were connecting to the access point they were on the right VLAN, they were getting the IP addresses, but it could not get out to the internet.
Gotcha.
So I was like, layer 2's, it's fixed.
He's getting DHCP from his VLAN.
Yeah. It's all set up correctly. And then, I actually sat on the phone for quite some time with the other vendors. We're waiting on the other vendor to respond. They finally responded, and it ended up being like a policy issue on the gateway. So typically, if you have VLAN problems on our product, it's if you don't have it set up, that's one thing. But if it's set up and you think there's a problem, it's most likely going to be on the gateway.
Yeah, I mean, in the most simplest form, all you have to do is tag every single port with the VLAN you want to use, including the one switch to switch. If you have multiple switches, every single port going back to the gateway. Also the port where the access point's on, and then you have to call out the VLAN number on the SSID in the access point configuration. That's it that you have to do as far as Wi-Fi switch configuration. But on the gateway or router, you need to have a VLAN enabled router. First of all, it has to be able to support VLANs, and then the interface has to have like its own DHCP and routing set up for that VLAN, tagged with the VLAN also, right?
Yep.
Exactly. Once you have that, it should just work. But you can't just set up a VLAN, plug it into your regular router, and think it's gonna work. It's not gonna.
Yeah. No. They had the right router. They just didn't have it configured correctly. But I was surprised how long it took the support team to figure out that problem. Now, I wasn't on the phone the whole time, but I was kind of floored by that whole thing.
Yeah, but, it can get difficult. I mean, because not everyone knows exactly what you're doing here, and we work with multiple vendors. They should have been able to test that, though. They should be able to test that the gateway wasn't working, because they could have plugged their laptop right into that gateway port, set the VLAN on the laptop interface, and then saw that they can't get out. Right? That's what I would say to support.
True. Very true.
As they're talking about a VLAN problem, have them plug in their laptop right into that port and troubleshoot it that way. And then once that's working, then they can let you know if there's something wrong with the Wi-Fi system, right?
Yeah.
That's probably the way to go about it. But you gotta get them working, because otherwise they'll complain.
They'll blame you.
They'll blame you until you can point the finger in someone else's direction.
Yeah.
All right, Brian. Anything else you want to talk about this week?
We have some big news coming in July 12th. I won't talk about it, but big news coming.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it, but I'll put a link to my review on the ECW336 so you can see some of the numbers I got. I'll put that down below. And
the video too, right?
And a video, yeah. I'll put the links to all these, and then you can pre-order. I have it up for pre-order. Should be shipping in about 3 weeks. So if you want to pre-order, I have some coming in, or you can wait until they get here. But we're pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be real popular. So remember to like and subscribe. We'll talk some more